Okay, so today's lesson. It's C. We're going to add icons and sliders and Keypress. I already have some examples here, but I'm going to add more. I'm going to show you how to do it. I also have some sample codes here so you can use them. They're already there. I don't have the forms for you to fill in yet, but I'll tell you what they're going to be and I'll make them when you are working on it, okay? Okay, so as of yesterday, we added this size, right? So we can have a drop down, and I forgot what it's called. So with each of this element, you gotta have an ID. So in this case, this is coming from a drop down. It's called select in HTML. Okay, so you can, I believe I give you the sample code. You can copy and paste in. You can change the ID if you wanted to, but that's how you refer it in JavaScript, right? So here I call it a size. This whole element is called a size. The value that is selected is a size.value. So if I go a size, we did this yesterday. A size is the entire set of tag. A size refers to all these lines, right? Because that's the ID of it. So it's important that you put an ID attribute to this select tag. And if you want to know its current selected value, it would just be a size.value, and that's gonna give you the selected size, okay? And with that, we can use it in whatever function, right? So if I have grid function, I can say grid 50, and it's gonna draw the 50. It can't actually see it, but let's say width it's 5 now. And then if I would do grid 50 again, it's going to be much bolder, right? Now, instead of that grid 50, I can now use grid a size.value. If I just hit enter it, well, it does work. But to be proper, you want to times this by 1 just to turn it from a string type to a number type so that it's proper, right? So I can do that. And once I change this to a smaller number, and that grid, it's gonna use the size from here, and it's gonna draw a smaller square. Okay, so as of yesterday, you were able to draw dogs and mountains and whatever. So make sure you're making use of this size drop down, right? So when you change the drop down, you press on the bottom dog or mountain, you should get different sizes. Okay, so make sure that's there if that's not clear. For today, though, we're going to change these icons into buttons. Okay, so I'll tell you where to download these nice buttons and how to make them work. Notice that I have two buttons, this pen up and pen down. Here, I'm showing you that I can make it into one button. So if I have this, you see this button changes between two modes. So that would be pen up mode. That would be pen down. So the icons look different, number one. Number two, when I hover on it, it kind of rotates on itself to let me know that I currently have that hovered, selected, or something. So I could change that. If I were to turn the mouse and now it's pen up and I go move forward, it does not leave any trail. But if I turn it to pen down, then it goes forward, yes, it leaves the trail. Right? So that would be a better user interface. So once I have this, I don't need these two anymore. I can remove them. Now, how do I do that? I'm going to quickly show you the code. So here is the HTML part of it. Sorry, yeah, this is the HTML part. It's, again, an image inside a link, which you know how to do that. I still use the button class here, not for the color, but for the sizing of it, so that the size, it has equal distance in between its neighbors. But you can try without it, see what happens. It does link to a function, which I have it written here. You can use it if you wanted to, or modify it to. So what this function is in charge of course, that has to go to the script part, right? So what that function is doing is, first of all, it has, oh, I got to copy that variable to here as well. Well, what what is it called? Pen change. Yeah, I got to give you that variable first. Right, so this variable is what we call a global variable that sits outside the function. That variable starts with a false, meaning that the pen is not up, so the pen is down by default. When I click on it, that line says we are changing the state. Right? If it's false, it changes to true. If it's true, change it to false, vice versa. And then here I have an if and else statement, meaning that if it's currently pen up, change the image to the pen up image. If it's currently pen down, change it to a pen down image. So this is basically changing the image. Now, if I have 3 images, 5 images, how does it know which image to swap? That's why my image has an ID. Notice here, and my image has a ID, a pen image. And to change it, it would just be a pen image.src. Then I can refer to a folder and then the name of the picture. Then that photo will be swapped. And then I did a pen up or pen down to just actually change the state of the turtle so that when I move the mouse, it knows to leave a trail or not. And that's the icon. I also have this reset button here. So this reset button, you should have this erase all that triggers clear or window.clear, and that clears everything. This reset does 2 things. It erases everything as well, and it also put the grid back. Okay, let me show you the code. So in the code, this button looks like this. So again, a link with the image in between. And I did specify the width so that it fits nicely. I think the original size of the image is slightly larger. And I can have 2 different commands within onClick. So in this case, I don't need a function necessarily if I only have a couple of lines to run. But if I have a lot of lines to run, by all means, create a function for it and then refer to the function. Let me show you where to get these icons. So this link takes you to flat icon, and you can search for anything, right? If you're changing the width, if you want to say move forward, say forward. You don't have to use a particular image, just ones that you like. You can say, hey, maybe I don't know, I like this one, okay? And then you can click on it, change the size. I think 128 and 64 is big enough. I'm gonna go with 64. Free download. Then that gives you a PNG where you can move that to the folder that you're working on. I think it's in level 1 showcase for me. And then I can move that to, it's called fast for PNG. I can move that to pics, move that. And if I want to rename this, I could. I'm just gonna call it forward, FWD, just to make my life easier. Then I could swap my forward with that. So where's my forward? My forward. Okay, so I just need to swap this word with that image, right? Now it's gonna be IMG, and this it's a what is the folder again? Pics /forward. There you go. I probably want to put the width in there. I don't need alt anymore. Just copy the width tag over here and replace, with attribute, and that should do it right here. So there we go. That's the forward. Okay. It does have that color to it. That's because of this class teal. I just have to remove that. It just say button. That's fine. And there we go. Okay. And then if I already have the JavaScript there within onClick, it's still gonna do the same thing. Okay. So it's gonna move forward. There's a turn. So I cover icon. I gotta cover slider for you. So there's more. Don't go away. Okay, icon, slider, and Keypress. So some of this I'd like you to change to a slider. I do have a pen width here. So I have a slider here. It's misplaced, okay? But I think it's called range, okay? It's an input type range where I'm gonna put a BR here so it goes to the next line. It goes between 1 and 10. 10 is probably overkill. I'm just gonna say 1 and 5, and this value is the starting value. So I can say starting value is 2. And with that, I could see that item. It's called a width. So if I change this, I will be able to retrieve its value. If I call a width, it gives me the tag, and that's the ID, right? So the ID is cell. That gives me the entire tag. But if I want its value, I want to know what value it's currently. This says that it's going between 1 and 5, and starting value is 2. So if I want its value, it's a width dot value. Hit enter, that's 2, and I can crank this up, and I'll try that. Yes, it's fine now. Okay, now if I want to draw this forward, say when I go forward, I want to actually draw, wait a minute, pen width, no, it's called width. Okay, so I think in JavaScript it's called width 2, right? And then I can say forward, or I can press on this forward. Hold on. With 3 and go forward. Okay, so it does leave a trail. All right, so instead of this, you want to say that when you do this, it needs to change the width. Oh, I don't have the code here yet, so I'm gonna give you that. So whenever you change the slider, it's called on change rather than on click. On change, and we can say width. Change the width to a width dot value times 1. Okay. I'll test this and I'll give you the so that should change it. It's giving me some errors. Width is not a function. It does work like this. Let me see. Let me do some debugging here. It doesn't want to run the function width. I think I probably need to specify it so that okay. Anyways, I will give you this code in once I figure it out. There's some errors. It doesn't like this way of specifying. So you're gonna put sliders in. I can talk about that Keypress first. Okay. So with Keypress, if I want to say hit spacebar and for the turtle to move forward, here's the code for it. You're going to put this in JavaScript, okay, so that it starts to detect the key press. And you can use any number of keys. You can say turn left and right with your arrow keys. Maybe you should do that. All right, so there's a link to this key code where we can find out what left and right keys are. Right, so my left key is 37, right key is 39, and I can use this to turn. So I can say 39. If that's the case, I would go right 30. Okay. I can say if that it's 37, I can put an else here. If that is a 37, then I'll return left. Again, I'll give you this codes, and let's see if they work. Hey. Sure. Okay. I'm running into some errors here. Anyways, let's pause this. I'll get back to you, okay? Let me just do some debugging here.